Nobody gave me any instructions, so I'm fine. I know you've been close to him. I know, one thing you said was, you took Mo, I think, when we went to Hawaii. He said Mo was just very sad that he had to take off. He said, I probably won't do that again. So we have to hire a babysitter. He is a spoiled dog, isn't he?
Gentlemen, and go ahead and join your families. If everyone would like to gather in as much as you're comfortable, we'd be able to hear a lot better.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Chris. I'm Kim's son. I'll be officiating our graveside services here. To begin the service, we will be having a musical selection by Kim's grandchildren, singing I Am a Child of God, followed by an opening prayer by Tony Carroll, Kim's daughter. And we'll go from there. So we need all the grandchildren right up here.
On the verge.
Our kind Heavenly Father, we come before Thee today in gratitude to celebrate Kim Chatelain's life. We're so grateful for him and all that he was. We're so grateful for all of our many blessings, and so grateful for all the time that we were able to spend with him and all the things that he contributed to our lives. We're so grateful for all that he gave us. Grateful for all the laughs and the good times and all the great funny memories that we'll always take with us. Please be with us as we're here celebrating him. Help us to feel him here with us and help us to honor him the best way that we can. Help him to know that we love him dearly and will take him with us. Help us to live in a way that would honor him and remember him. Help us to remember to take him in our lives and make him proud. Please help us to feel the Spirit as we're here today so that we can share and be close and create more fond times of him passing on to the other side. Help us to feel comfort in the following days and weeks and months to come. Help us to feel your love and your presence and feel him, and help us to do as he would have us to do. Again, we're so grateful for all that we have and so grateful for Kim. I'm grateful that we knew him. I'm grateful that we'll continue to have him be with us always. And we so humbly pray for these things at this time in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thanks, Tony. And I'm sure that having his grandchildren up here uncomfortable singing in front of everyone would be something he'd be very grateful to be a part of. We'll continue now with reading of the obituary by Matthew Barrett, Kim's cousin. Just quickly, before reading the obituary, I'd just like to say one thing to Kim. Kimmer, my life was richer and more fun because you were in it. Kimmy Chatelain passed away after complications from a heart attack on Sunday, June 14th, 2020. He was born January 11th, 1959 in Ogden, Utah, at McKay Hospital, to Dale Emil Chatelain and Theo Barrett. He was the youngest of 4 children, graduated from Weber High in 1977. Kim had 4 children, 1 daughter, Toni Carroll, and 3 sons, Chris Chatelain, Jacob Dukes, and Tyson Dukes. He had 13 grandchildren and actively supported his family. He loved all animals and had an amazing Catahoula leopard dog, Mo. Some of us have been enjoying, I think, here today. He was an avid sportsman, loved every outdoor activity. Motorcycling, boating, hunting, fishing, camping were some of his greatest passions. He had amazing charisma and made a strong impact on everyone he met. Recently, Kim had purchased an El Camino, and he and his brother Corey were able to spend time together dedicated to their love of cars. He worked his entire life with his father on a farm, and he was able to be a caregiver for his parents during her final years. He took considerable pride in keeping an immaculate yard and home, with proof and recognition by North Ogden City. Kim was engaged to be married to the love of his life, Deborah Warren, and was excited to begin their lives together. While he was not ready to go, he died at the happiest time of his life, with love all around him. He was a cowboy gentleman who rode a motorcycle. While he was frequently gruff and off-color was his speech, we all know Kim, don't we? He was also caring and thoughtful. If a family member or friend ran into hard times, Kim would be the one who would provide unconditional love, kindly assistance, and unique understanding. I saw Kim's unconditional love on many times, and he and I go back to about first grade together. Kim is survived by fiancée Deborah Warren, his 2 sisters, Linda Schneider, Karen Matthews,
and brother Corey Chatelain. His daughter Toni Carol and sons Chris Chatelain and Tyson Dukes. He was preceded in death by his parents and son Jacob Dukes. Due to the current restrictions regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, you're supposed to wait for the line. The family will not be able to accommodate any ex-wives or ex-girlfriends. The family also understands that many of those who would like to attend will not be able to, and ask that instead they enjoy a cold one in remembrance of Kim. We will miss you, Kim E. Chatelain.
Now, I got in trouble for putting that line in the obituary,
Not by anybody that matters.
but it's all love and it's all love and no negativity there. We'll now open the time for anyone who would like to come up and share stories or memories or thoughts or anything you'd like to share. Nothing too small or anything meaningful. Thank you. And you can just come up here. I don't think we can pass the microphone around, so I think you'll just have to come up here and melt.
Can I just yell from here?
You want me to bring you the microphone?
I don't care. I just want everybody to know how close I was to Kim. And on Memorial Day, Nick and I got to spend some time with him and hug him and enjoy him for quite a while. He just meant so much to me. I was very, very close to Kim. I love him dearly.
Thanks, Kimmer. We had fun. My name's Kurt Shoup, and Kim was my best friend. He taught me a lot. He taught me class, detail, adventure, love, and appreciation. And got me to school too. That's how we kind of first hooked up. And I'll tell you, those big snowstorms were so fun to go play in with him and his Jeep. His friend, neighbor Terry Brown. Kim, I'll miss you. He was always there on the front porch or sitting chair when I needed to talk. And I got a whole lifetime of memories of fun with you. Thanks for being my friend. God bless you.
So, I don't really have a huge amount of memories with my dad. Stories that I heard growing up. I always knew he rode bikes. So growing up, kind of figured my dad for a Harley rider because I knew he rode motorcycles. So, and when I was about 23, we started getting back in contact with each other. And I came over to his house for the first time, expecting to see Harley in the garage. I was surprised to see the Yamaha VMAX in there. I looked at him and said, "Dad, I thought you rode Harleys." As most of you guys know, that was probably a really bad thing for me to do. I heard about that for a while.
You can swear, Tyson, it's okay.
Heard about that one for a while. I was telling Chris the other day, we should have picked up an old Harley and put it in flames out here in the parking lot. I think he would have appreciated that.
Yeah, I invited Corey to bring one of his.
That's one of my few stories, unfortunately, but I miss him.
It's tough.
Well, I imagine everybody knows who I am.
Who are you?
I don't know. Wait for you to tell me, Corey. Chatelain.
You were trouble, I remember.
Yeah.
You and him together
We were
trouble.
twins from different mothers. Guarantee
I think you were.
Yeah, I miss him, Corey.
I think you were.
Yeah, no. There's times, though, he would just make my day. Every time he'd come to work, I'd be having a bad day. Kim could put a smile on my face, no matter what. This is hard to talk.
Yeah.
I spent more time with him than I did my own brothers. That's honest.
Yeah.
Love him, gonna miss him. I'm still getting little surprises, honest to God. I opened up a little notebook that I just got out of the back of my truck, work truck, and I open it up, go write notes inside of it. And about every 20th page, there's a note to me, and I can't repeat what they say. Okay?
You
Oh,
recognize
it
the
was
writing?
hilarious, and I just found them recently, and I was telling Debbie, it just made me cry because I was laughing so hard. With Kim, you always expect the unexpected, and you were never let down.
That's right. Yep.
Love you, brother.
Thank you.
I know that I will always miss the way he laughed and his jokes. I'll miss him very much.
So, real quick, Eli's reading an email that that I got from his niece, Kirsten Tucker.
To say Uncle Kim was a rebel, a fearless thrill seeker, would probably be an understatement. I remember him and Uncle Corey taking my brother and I out on their dirt bikes when we were really little. All Uncle Kim said to me was, "Hold on for your life and don't let go." He wasn't kidding. Uncle Kim and Uncle Corey gave my brother and I the ride of our lives. We kept saying, "Faster, faster, faster," and our uncles were all too happy to oblige. I don't think I've ever been so terrified and so exhilarated in my entire life. Uncle Kim sure knew how to push things to the limit. Uncle Kim also had a softer side that he didn't seem to share very often. For some reason, he was really taken with my daughter, Addison. She loved horses so much, she even had a horsey savings account from the time she was about 4. Kim would take her to look at the horses, and he would teach her all about them. They would spend time together in the barn and in the pasture just talking together. Addison would then tell me what she learned on her drive home from Grandpa Chatelain's house. Then one year, out of the blue, Kim gave Addison the most thoughtful Christmas gift, a horsey on a stick. It was the cutest thing I had ever seen, and Addie absolutely fell in love with it. It was deluxe. The head was made of beautiful brown plush. The mane had the softest hair, and it even whinnied when she rode it. She galloped all around Grandma's house and all around our house, and couldn't get enough of playing with Horsey whenever she was outside. Horsey became a beloved part of our family. We have moved 3 times, and Addie is 22. She still insists on keeping that special gift from Uncle Kim so she can share it with her kids when she has them. I also appreciated Uncle Kim's Christmas cards. They were always cowboy themed by a company called Lean and Tree. Every year, Uncle Kim took the time to send us a Christmas card. He never ever missed a year. That meant so much to me. He wasn't big on writing much, a trait shared by his parents and siblings. It's a Chatelain thing, I guess. But last year, I had a brain tumor scare, and Kim wrote the most meaningful message I have ever received from him in a Christmas card. He said, "I want you to know I love you, and I've always been proud of you." I couldn't believe my eyes. That message coming from Kim meant the world to me. I know Uncle Kim wasn't really used to sharing those kinds of feelings, but he must have known I needed a little extra support and encouragement. It made me feel like I had another ally out there, knowing that really gave me strength. I loved Uncle Kim and he loved me. I'm so grateful we had the chance to express that to each other while we were still both alive. Knowing he loved me and him knowing I loved him has brought me peace. That's what I chose to remember, the things I loved about my Uncle Kim.
My uncle, Kim, my grandpa Tim,
It's okay.
he was the only one that went to actually my birthday parties, but he was a really good grandpa. I really miss him. He really was.
About, I think, 2 days before he passed, we got a cell phone up to him in the hospital, and he gave us, my girls were in the car with me, and we were FaceTiming him in the car, which he was completely new to, and he gave us the best gift and the best laugh. We had his face up on the phone, and he took one look at himself, and he said, tell him about it.
I looked like an old Billy goat.
Followed by, he said, oh, I look like an old Billy goat. Laying there with all his tubes. And we just laughed and laughed. And it was such a gift. Wasn't emotional often because that was his way, but for sure the sweetest thing happened on that phone call. I was driving and my girls were FaceTiming him, and then we stopped, and so I took the phone, and the minute he saw me, he just melted, and he always told me, Daddy loves you, remember, Daddy loves you, always, no matter what. And I knew, no matter what I did, and I've made mistakes, and he was my biggest, he never judged. I think he almost liked me better when I made mistakes. For sure. If there was one thing I think I'll choose to take, it's that I don't have to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't have to be perfect. I'm okay just the way I am. But he looked at me and he started crying, and he just said, I love you, you're so beautiful, it's like you're like an angel, seeing you right here, and just, I could feel the love and just the vulnerability, and he was such a tough guy, such a strong man that had been through a lot, and he held his head up and he kept going, and it was just like, this is me, accept me for what I am, I accept you for what you are. And I think that's one of the best qualities we can all take with us, is just live your life, go have fun, don't take it too serious, don't take yourself too serious, and let people know you love them. And I know me and my kids are gonna miss him, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for Debbie. She brought the softer side out of Kim, and it is just a damn shame that they didn't get more time together, because we were all just so excited for all the times that we were going to have together with them. And I think he finally had someone, he could be part of the family with, and not come alone and not feel like an outcaster. And she planned the funnest little sleigh ride thing last winter, and it really will be some of the best memories my kids and I will have of him were his times with Debbie. And the side that she brought out of him that we're just super grateful for. And it's hard seeing him gone and the last link to my grandparents and all my aunts and uncles live out of state, and it's gonna be tough and it's sad. And he definitely had so many great years ahead of him, but what we were talking about at the viewing with Lindsay and Cody is we just think that my grandparents needed him more, and I think we just have to let that be and know that they're together, and we just have to live good lives and go have fun like he would have.
Probably a few of you think I never quit talking. I usually
Friday
don't.
night.
I thought if nothing else, I gotta tell Tyson the Harley thing. It's over. I talked to him. Debbie and I FaceTimed him at her house a week ago Friday. And it was about the El Camino. And I called him. Said, hey, you know, might not be driving that for a while. You still want to go through, put the rear end in it, do the rear axle or whatever. And he said, hell yeah, hell yeah. And so we said, okay. I said, you know, you've got enough stuff on your plate right now. If you don't want to mess with that, don't worry about it. We'll just go from there. He goes, nope, I want it together. And I've told a couple of friends of my family, if you look at his driveway, the reason we got to this El Camino thing was there's one tire mark in his driveway right in front of the garage. I hit him up about it one day. He was pretty proud of that car. People walked by, and even kids and that walked by. And I said, what is that? Or, that's a nice car, mister, or whatever. And I teased with him all the time. I said, yeah, Kim. I said, if you'd have known years ago, you get more girls and people look at this car and they look at that goddamn gun on your thing and a great big knife hanging down there. But the one tire mark that he's got in his driveway, I asked him, and he said, yeah, I had a kid walk by one day and tell me what a cool car it was. And he said the kid looked down that tire mark, and the young kid, he said, oh, one tire wonder, huh? Kim said that little. So from that day forward, you say Barry could put a rear end in that car, I want to pause in that car. I'll show him one tire wonder. You know, the kid from Adam, I don't think that was, that's why there's the one. Now we can go do two. He'll be tickled. But back to the Harley thing, Tyson, you know, it was FaceTiming with Debbie's. I got BS with him, and from other things, he was showing me, Dad, look at me, and he was learning how to work that damn phone or whatever, and he showing his wrists, and it's all black and blue. Took it down to his crotch, and he had them tubes going up his arteries, you know, and he goes, look. He said, looks like I needed, I'll tone it down. I've been making love to a porcupine. I said, look like you got a street fight, but they hit you everywhere but in the face. But he looked at my hat and he said, what are you wearing? And I had a Harley hat on, I forgot. And he goes, let me look at it. And I said, I don't want to upset you, Kim. You're in enough trouble right now trying to get that hard work and it'll just piss you off. And he goes, what is it? I put it down. He goes, oh no. I like that. He had a name for it. It's like the sewed on patch, kind of old rough little hat. I said, I don't want to get you upset. He goes, no. He said, that's a good looking hat. He said, I'm over that. He said, I'm over that already. I'll turn it to somebody else before I can't talk.
Jeff Parker, a very old friend of Kim's.
Corey can verify that.
Yeah. Ready?
Matt can verify that. He's an older friend of Matt. In the beginning, were 2 blue Honda 70s. That's how I met Kim. 12 years old, 7th graders, right over there. And those Honda 70s were our babysitters every fall, every spring. All your Canal Road. Corey was in on this. He had a driver's license. He took us to the motorcycle park up in Brigham. Dale, Chatelain. Oh, God. Loading, how many trucks we could load into a cattle truck and go to Moab on the Slick Rock Trail before mountain bikes were invented. And Kim was always the best rider. Corey had a Honda came out with, this is a long time ago, this is 46 years ago. Honda came out with a motocross bike. They'd never been known for that. And Corey and I both got one. Corey got his first. They were 125 cc's, just one cylinder. And Kim, I think I got it chronography right, had a Super Rat before Odaka Super Rat, a 100. And it looked wonderful, had a chrome tank and everything, but the rest of it was like a tow coat. And I know, so the Honda, the point is the Hondas were state of the art for that time. Just amazing machine. They make them for the race team. But, and now I remember I traded bikes one afternoon with Kim. This is after we graduated from the Honda 70s. And I rode that Odaka Super Rat. And I thought, my God, how does he stay ahead of us? This thing is like a 19th century something. I could never beat him. I don't think you could, Corey.
I can kick his ass.
That bike was light front end, it did a wheel stand. It's hard to keep the front end down on it.
The guy was an amazing guy, and I moved away to Carson City to be a crappy old lawyer for 20 years, so I don't know what all the bikes were, but there was a Honda 70, Odaka Super Rat, Odaka. You say tomato, I say tomato. Got a Husqvarna 250, and then fast forward 20 years after 2 divorces, my own, I moved back, and he had that Yamaha VMAX, and that was way ahead of its time. It didn't look like much, but it was 110 horsepower and tiny gas tank, so it wasn't a touring bike, but there was nothing that could go stoplight to stoplight faster. There just wasn't.
Fifth gear wheel stand, you'd do about 70 miles an hour.
He told me he finally sold it. Some guy in Florida burned it up.
Oh, did he?
Anyway, Kim was a complicated person. He was I knew him in his earlier years and later years less so. He seemed like a guy of contradictions, but as other people have said this morning, he didn't fake it.
No.
He was the real deal. And been dreading this day. And I'm impressed with what's been said. I'm impressed with this turnout. Thank you much.
Thanks, sir.
Give us a try. I don't know if I can. Well, I've been asked a few times, how did you meet Kim? well, I knew of him. Sounds like everybody knew of him, but I'd never really met him because he's younger than me.
Around here.
But my best friend and his cousin, Debbie Bingham, walked with me through some tough years with my husband, who passed away of a brain disease. And once in a while you need to get out of town when you're a caregiver, and Kim was a caregiver, and he had a heart of a caregiver, but we had that in common. But I said, I need to go out of town. I was going to a seminar or something on the disease somewhere, and I said, I need a reliable person to take care of my horses. I said, does Dale Chatelain's son still over there? He knows how to take care of horses. And she said, well, yeah, he's still there. She said, I'll call him and ask him. So she did, and it was a day or two, and he called me and he said, Debbie told me that I needed to call you. And I said, well, you can take care of horses if I need to go out of town a day or two. And he said, yes, I could do that. And I said, well, would you mind coming over? I need to show you how these horses are taken care of. He said, I know how to take care of horses. And I said, well, I'd like to show you, you know, what I do. And that was kind of my first encounter, and he stuttered and stammered, and finally he drove over, and I showed him the barn and the barrels and everything, and he said, you didn't tell me these were Appaloosa horses.
You did say Appaloosa, right? Not Appy?
Well,
Okay.
you know, the Rafter Ranch had a very good name of quarter horses, so there's this deal between Appaloosa people and quarter horse people, but he was just giving me a hard time. He more than welcomed, you know, the opportunity to help me and feed him, so he did. And I tried to get him to take money, and he said, I don't want any money. And I said, well, I won't hire, you know, I won't ask you to do it unless you do it. He says, well, maybe just enough to feed this old truck. It gets 9 miles to the gallon. So I said, okay. You know, so I wouldn't ever discuss it with him. I'd just give him an envelope. And this went on from like 2015, I believe. I first met him, and then he kind of faded out. I didn't really need that much help. Until after, well, he kept coming feeding the horses, but I had a tractor I was trying to run over there, my husband's, that was a Ford tractor, and I kept it in the building up there, and one day I opened the door when he was over there, and well, I won't say the words he said, but it said Ford across the front, and that was not a favorite in the Chatelain family. It doesn't appear it is anywhere around here either, but he tried to talk me into getting rid of it, and he said, I'm selling a tractor. And so my son and I started looking at it, and he was, you know, he was thinking it was a lot better than the one I had, and the one I had was working, but it kept springing a leak, and I'd have to call my son from Salt Lake to come up and help me, and that was getting really old. I had 2.5 acres over there in a horse pasture, and tree limbs that had to be loaded, and, you know, I was a do-it-yourselfer. So anyway, I heard nothing but negative things, but I think behind the scenes, the reason was he wanted me to buy his tractor. So I thought, well, okay, it is a better tractor, and I went shopping around and ran into him at the credit union one day, and he said, oh, you came to get my money for my tractor. And I said, well, not actually. See that new Ford truck over there I just drove in? And I said, I just bought that, so I'm going to make that old tractor work for a while. Boy, I could tell by the expression on his face that was not what he was planning on at all. So I kind of went on my way and let the tractor deal go for a while, and I didn't see him for a while. And then my son and I went looking at tractors, and he said, you know, that is probably the best option you got for what you need. So I went ahead and sold the old Ford, and I went to talk to Kim about buying the tractor, and it was out of the garage. And what was in its place was that silver thing right there. And so I thought, well, I missed that deal, but I did call him, and I said, do you still have it? It took him 2 days to call me back because he doesn't have a cell phone, and he doesn't have an answering machine. But if you happen to catch him, you know, sitting out front or off the job, then, you know, I said, do you still have the tractor? And he said, well, yeah, but I think a contractor's going to buy it. You didn't want it. And I thought, well, this isn't going to go well. It was parked out back with a tarp over it, and he had just gotten off a job, and his boss from Oklahoma was there with a couple other guys. And I said, well, is the tractor still for sale? And the boss from Oklahoma said, you know, I might take that back to Oklahoma with me. I just bought his trailer. I think they were conspiring to make me think he didn't, you know, want to sell the tractor. It was already gone. So anyway, I had to eat crow. I did buy the tractor, and it came with an operator. That's how we got to know each other. Started from there. But when I finally picked the tractor up, I thought, well, he'll show me how to work this. He said, I'll come get you, and you can drive it home. And I said, fine. So I rode over in the truck, and he didn't say one word all the way back to his house. And he pulled the tractor out front, and he said, there you go. I said, well, this isn't the same kind I've got. Can you show me how to work it? He said, the manual's behind the seat. I thought, well, thanks a lot. So I got on there and revved it up and thought it was in the right gear, and it was really loud. I was in the wrong gear, and I got over to the stop sign, and he was standing out in the middle of the street watching me. You know, that stance that he has. Still wouldn't offer to help me, but I got to the stop sign, and I figured out how to shift it in a higher gear, and I got it home finally. And then it wasn't 30 minutes later, he's on the phone saying, well, did you make it home? I said, yeah, you jerk, I did make it home. So from there, he came over more and helped me push branches and rocks, and it just kind of started from there. So that was how I met. Red flags. Yeah, I liked every red flag he had. The Kim charisma, I called it. We're all going to miss him. Thank you all for coming. This is a very nice tribute to him. He would be very happy to see all this.
Probably not necessarily a familiar face, most of you, but Kim's a neighbor of mine, and my name's Lee Muirbrook, and I married a Fuller in North Ogden. I lived out Westmore, and grew up out there on a dairy farm. I got to know Dale, his dad, really well. He taught me a lot about, my dad passed away when I was a teenager, and Dale helped me to understand some things about farming. I bought a little tractor and helped me with some different things, and behind the house and things like that, and just had a great love for Dale and Theo, and really learned to love Kim over these last few years. Me and Brother Campbell had the opportunity to be able to visit with him on a regular basis, and what a heart. I saw Kim do things to help people financially, pour out his love to them. I know he could be gruff, but he'll be missed, and we love him. He's always, just real quick, I just wanted to say that Brother Campbell built a house right next to him, and we used to joke all the time because it was like, you go out of town, and Kim was the best caretaker you could have for the house to make sure nobody bothered it or broke in, you know. And he called me up one time. I just live around the corner, and he called my cell phone. He says, hey, there's a vehicle in your driveway. And he says, I don't know if you're out of town, but it's been there for all day and overnight. And I explained to him that it was my son, and he goes, well, I just making sure. Just want to make sure everything was okay, you know. And that was years ago, but I know how much he cared about people and his friends and all of you. And he'll be missed. We love him.
That was the Barrett side.
Huh?
Is there anyone else that would like to come up before I give closing remarks? Going once, going twice? I want to thank everyone who gave their remarks. I think one of the things that that's really been an impression on me as I've looked through pictures and you know, kind of gone through his life is that, you know, he really had a lot of different phases to his life, and he really one of the things anyone who knows him knows is he doesn't do the same. He didn't like doing the same thing over and over again. He really, his life was always changing, always changing. You know, I'm his oldest son. I would say that, you know, my life with him was complicated. I think is a fair way to say it. He wasn't, well, when he had me, he was 19 or 20 years old. He was really young, you know, and you know, so as I was growing up, you know, he was growing up as well. Maybe a little slower than I was, but you know, I think that might be up maybe that's up for debate. My other grandpa said that he was the oldest teenager that he'd ever known, and you know, I think that's kind of fair to say. I think one of the great things that was said today that was actually on my mind is that he was really very much a contradiction. In, you know, I don't think anyone really knew him, honestly. I think all the way. I think there was so much to him, whether it was, you know, growing up as Grandpa's son and having that expectation or weight, or, you know, some idea of what he thought he needed to be, or some expectation that he didn't live up to. You know, that I think that there was you know, a bike accident that he had that you know, gave him a concussion and you know, somewhat of a head injury that changed him as well. I think, you know, and obviously, you know, kids and varying relationships with his kids on and off, and you know, there was so much to him that everybody kind of got a piece, but I don't really think anyone got the whole puzzle, you know. You know, my mom called him the class clown. He was the class clown, and you know, as I mentioned that to other people that went to school with him, oh yes, absolutely, you know. And you know, he loved to to make people laugh. He loved to be funny. Sometimes he attempted that in the way that doesn't, was a little off color or wasn't right for the situation. He loved to shock people. He, when it was real interesting, as I got married and Tony got married, and, integrating him with, new people and new family. You're at a baby blessing with all these families, and they're kind of looking at him going, what's going on here? But then when we get done eating, he's the very first one that's at the sink washing dishes. And he's the one that's going around to every single person, shaking their hand, introducing themselves, talking to him. It really was. He was very, very complex. I think I knew him as somebody who did love me unconditionally, and it feels weird to have these on. I knew him as someone who loved me unconditionally. He co-signed for my first loan. If I needed something, I knew I could always call him. When for his grandchildren, anything that he was invited to, he came, and he knew them all personally. He he focused on all of them, and he bought a little motorcycle for the boys to ride, kind of out of the blue. He was. I used to always explain him to people that there are qualities that 95% of people have, and he was missing a few of those qualities. He was missing quite a few of those qualities. But then there are qualities that 5% of people have, qualities that you don't find in people, and oddly enough, he had those qualities, and so it really was it was complicated, and when he had his first heart attack years and years ago, I think we kind of chalked it up a little bit to just sitting home and worrying about grandma and grandpa, and sitting home smoking, worrying about grandma and grandpa, and that's the kind of the worst situation you can be in for your own health. But I was so grateful when he met Debbie, and they kind of started their life together. And part of it was really selfish on my part. Part of it was selfishly that, I knew I wasn't going to come to his house sometime and find him, out back, having had another heart attack, or, and because, it was just amazing to see their life begin together, and how happy he was. And I'd talk to him, and he'd complain about, oh, she's gonna run me into the ground, she's and I'd say, and I'd tell him, I'm like, you're not fooling me, like, come on. Would you rather have it any other way? You're not fooling me. And he'd, oh, no, I wouldn't. And that was kind of his personality, you know, whatever he was doing that he chose to do, he'd complain about it. But you know, he wouldn't have it any other way, and he was, you know, he was so, you know, he was so hopeful, I think is the right word, in the last few years. You know, he would tell me about, you know, oh, we might do this and we might do that, and oh, we're thinking of doing this and doing that, and you know, it really was the only time in his life, you know, that I've seen him, you know, so excited about the future and so happy, and really that's, you know, that's the big tragedy, is, you know, he had these areas of his life right now, whether it was, you know, him and Debbie, whether it was his relationship with his kids, that was still growing, and that, you know, was you know, was cut short far too early, and you know, I know that you know, he cared very deeply about relationships. He cared very deeply about family. He cared, you know, he always talked about the kids and the grandkids, and you know, he you know, he did the best that he could, and he tried. He did try real hard with the grandkids, and you know, I will miss him so much, and you know, now we have to all figure out how to live without him. So we'll continue on with the program. Next we will have a Dove release by Roger Miller, and I think how that will work is we can kind of come over a little bit to this side so everyone can see. Indy, do you want to do it?
Come with me.
Go over with Debbie.
Excuse me. That's right.
What do you think? That was cool, huh? Yeah. Fun. Look at them flying around.
Thank you. Stop by and see me.
Thank you, Roger. That was awesome. That was a great thing for him to volunteer for us. That was fantastic. Next we'll have The Dedication of the Grave by Scott Campbell. And afterwards, we have a luncheon set up at the church, you know, the church, 262 East, 2600 North. 626 East, 2600 North. But you know, the old red brick church, I think. And it's outside. It'll be outside in their Bowery. It is catered. It will be served by the Relief Society in gloves and masks. So, you know, doing our best there to be as safe as possible. So, there hopefully, you know, shouldn't be concerns about the food. Hopefully. Scott.
Our dear Father in heaven, by the power of the holy Melchizedek priesthood which I hold, I dedicate and consecrate this burial plot to the final resting place for Brother Kim E. Chatelain. And we pray that this place will be hallowed and protected. We ask for a blessing of comfort on his family and friends and his fiancée Debbie. They will learn to live without him and appreciate him for the blessings that he brought to their life. We pray also for Kim, wherever he is at this point, that he may rejoice in the time he can spend with those who have gone on before him. We ask a blessing that thou will help us to learn from Kim's life and the example he showed to us, from his generosity, for his thoughtfulness, from his care for his neighbors, especially the widows and elderly. We admire and pray for the ability to appreciate the way he took care of his home and his earthly possessions. We ask a blessing on all who are here today, that they may travel home in safety. And this we say in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Is it the church when you go down the hill to?
Thank you. I've gone out of order a little bit here. We're going to be having a closing prayer by Lucy, his granddaughter.
It's just up from there, that one? Okay. Okay, thank you. I wondered if that was it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful to be together as family and friends to celebrate the life of Grandpa Kim. We will miss him, but we know you're taking good care of him. Please bless that we are safe going home. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Family and friends, that does officially conclude the services here today. It does take the grounds crew a little time to come in and prepare the grave. They usually wait till everyone has cleared out before they come in and do their work, but please feel free to take as much time as you need on this beautiful morning. On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank everyone here in attendance. If the pallbearers would like to come forward and place your boutonniere on the casket, now would be an appropriate time to do so. Thank you.
call her if you need something. Okay.
Help me when you can.
Like all the display stuff.
Right there when we go visit.
I know, sidekick.
What? Oh, who? Oh, no, they're, somebody has their phone. I'm gonna get it though. I'm gonna try. Oh, but.
Fancy, expensive camera. How much are this worth?
Like $50,000 or that. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I'll take it down in a second. Yeah, I think we accidentally put it upside down. I think the case is supposed to be on that. They're supposed to be flip-flop. I messed up. Yeah, I actually think they're flip-flop because this would fit under there. I put them on backwards. We didn't need them. Like if it was really bright over here and you wanted to block the light. Dad,
I think I went over there. Because Grandma said he was concerned because the light on the balcony was on.
So the battery didn't go dead.
Apparently the other light burned out.
I should probably not walk in front of that.
Do you think I should be done?
Is it big?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Since everyone's they're kind of dispersing.
Yeah.
No. Ready to go home?
Oh, right. Here, let's do it.
Come here. Anybody that wants to.
Focus you. You're not in focus. It's too dark.
Get a picture of us.
Should we just take a phone picture? You're too close. You guys need to back up. Let me focus on you. Okay. Good looking, guys. I like it. Now do a dance. Do a river dance. Okay. Oh, back up if you're all gonna be in. I can't see Piper. Back up so Piper can be in it. And then river dance for me. Back way up so I can see your feet. I can only see you from the waist up. Oh yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
What they're doing to it. What are they doing?
It's a kick line. Here.
That's not river. That's like the king. He's like, but we're on grass right now. There's no river.
No, river dancing is more like tap dancing.
Yeah, it's like.
It's like really strong tap dancing. Carson, should we see you?
No, I can't do this. My knees. It's like kick, up, kick.
No, you go knee. You go like this.
Chris's family. Do I just want to come up and
I'm gonna turn this game into a river.
I was sitting in my car going, they're in there. Kim, how long you're waiting? 11. And my car's big little tree with that guy. And then I come out. But it was just
Is it videoing? Yeah. I just let it keep going.
You just leave it like here. It's like a security
I'm gonna
camera.
actually leave it keep going for a bit longer.
It's just a security camera, just, focusing right on this.
What, huh?
Mom, can I twist this?
I'll have one.
Good, how are you? Good.
Couldn't find a bigger camera, huh?
No, because I couldn't get it from my school, so I might as well,
Yeah. What is it anyway?
It's a Sony FS5. It's a cinema camera.
It needs to be at least like 3 times bigger.
Right, yeah. We need it to be like broadcast worthy. I tried to get the red. And they were like, no, whatever. My family wants to be stars.
That's right. We need the red.
I need to go and edit it and make it look like a Godfather.
You need it.
That would be funny. Make it black and white. Add some ambiance and some
Like lower the color or the light. The saturation. Yeah.
That's cool. So, what are you going to school for? Really?
Just help with setting up for any, or editing that kind of.
What are you going to be editing?
That's what I know right now. I'm sure that there's I think Hollywood is
Let me just look how
I think
I would imagine there's online stuff.
Oh right, yeah, you can learn it, but I'm just saying if I wanted to play with school, there's a teach it there.
I moved it.
Just like cut out everyone, but then put them back.
Just cut them out and then put them back in different places.
I'm going back to school. I live in Utah, not in California or Florida, where video games are. So I'm doing
That would be a fun exhibit.
Yeah, I hope so. There's a lot of basically. So I go to Davis Tech. So basically, they give me the Autodesk book and just read from the book and follow.
Oh, yeah.
So really, I should probably just be getting the books myself. Or hopefully they can